In ancient times, the diet of a Roman soldier was remarkably simple, yet surprisingly effective. It consisted of only 6 foods and 3 beverages, with no meat included. This dietary regimen sustained the most powerful fighting force in human history. Despite the limitations of their diet, Roman legionaries outperformed modern soldiers in every measurable endurance standard. A legionary would march 20 miles a day, carrying 60 pounds of gear, then dig a trench, build a wall, cook dinner, and repeat the process the next day for 30 years. This was all accomplished with a grocery list so simple that a modern nutritionist might label it starvation. However, it wasn't starvation. It was an ingenious nutritional system that endured through time. Subscribe and comment for more videos. Each ingredient of their diet is still available on your grocery store shelves today. Here are the 6 foods and 3 drinks that fueled the Roman military machine, and why modern MREs, meals ready to eat, have replaced them with options that are 5 times worse. Pillar 1. Grains. The first essential food was grain. In antiquity, grain referred to a variety of crops, but the most common was wheat. For the legionaries, grain served as the primary source of calories in their diet. Each soldier received a daily ration of approximately 2 pounds of unground wheat, a figure confirmed by ancient texts from authors like Pliny and Tacitus. When a soldier was at his marching camp and had access to a millstone, he would grind the wheat himself, mix it with water, salt, and sometimes legumes, and cook it in a bronze pot over a wood fire until it thickened into a hot porridge. This porridge constituted both their breakfast and their dinner, providing roughly 2,300 calories per day solely from grains, primarily slow-burning complex carbohydrates. A 2001 analysis of the energy balance of Roman soldiers published in French medical literature calculated that the grain ration alone delivered around 3,500 calories, when considering additional ingredients like bacon and cheese. Approximately 78% of this diet was derived from carbohydrates. To a modern dietitian trained on contemporary American plates, such a ratio might seem catastrophic. But for a legionary carrying heavy loads across the Alps, it was precisely the fuel required for endurance. Slow carbohydrates digested gradually, releasing energy steadily over hours of exertion. There were no blood sugar crashes or mid-afternoon collapses, just a consistent burn that kept him moving. The Romans understood the importance of grains not only as a source of calories, but also as a means of sustaining their vast empire. Grains were cultivated across their territories, from fertile plains in Italy to the fields of North Africa. The Roman agricultural system was advanced for its time, employing techniques such as crop rotation and irrigation. These practices ensured a steady supply of grain, which was crucial for feeding both the military and the civilian population. Roman soldiers were often also involved in agricultural activities during peacetime, contributing to the cultivation of crops. Their training included learning about the land and its resources, fostering a deep connection between soldiering and farming. This dual role ensured that they were not only warriors, but also stewards of the land, capable of sustaining themselves and their comrades. The second food was buccellatum, the portable form of porridge and the ancestor of hardtack biscuits used by armies for the next 1,800 years. When the legion was on the march and could not stop long enough to cook porridge, soldiers consumed buccellatum in its place. This biscuit was made by mixing stone-ground wheat flour with salt and a small amount of water, kneading it into a stiff dough, shaping it into dense flat rounds, and baking it twice. First at high temperature to cook it through, then at low temperature to expel any remaining moisture. The result was a brick-hard disk of pure carbohydrates, with a shelf life measured in months. Buccellatum was the fuel that allowed the legion to travel at speeds unmatched by other armies. A soldier could carry a week's worth of biscuit rations in a leather satchel. He could walk all day eating one, soaking it in puska, a vinegar-based beverage, or broth to soften it, maintaining his pace throughout. Trajan's column in Rome depicts legionaries on campaign eating what are almost certainly hardtack biscuits. The Code of Theodosius, the Roman legal code from the 4th century, explicitly names buccellatum as one of the standard field rations issued to troops on the move. This was not an emergency food. It was the official portable carbohydrate of the Roman military machine, effective enough to outlast Rome itself. The concept of hardtack is not unique to Rome. Variations of it have been used throughout history by various cultures. In England, sailors would carry hardtack on long voyages, as it could withstand the harsh conditions at sea. Similarly, pioneers in America relied on hardtack as they traveled westward, making it a staple in their diet. The resilience of this simple food item speaks volumes about the ingenuity of early food preservation techniques. The third food was lardum, which refers to salted pork fat and, more generally, to preserved bacon. This is where the Roman diet stops resembling that of a monk and begins to look like an engineer's solution to a caloric problem. The daily ration included around 100 grams of lardum per soldier. Fat delivers 9 calories per gram compared to 4 calories per gram for carbohydrates or proteins. Therefore, 100 grams of bacon fat equated to 900 calories of pure energy in a package small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. The Romans preserved lardum through salt curing and often smoking it, which gave it a shelf life of weeks, even in warm weather. The fat would melt into the porridge, be rubbed onto the hardtack to soften it, and be eaten straight as a snack during marches. Emperor Hadrian, known for living like a common soldier during his tours of the frontier, reportedly told his officers that his favorite field meal was lardum, cheese, and puska, bacon fat, cheese, and sour wine. This was the comfort food of the Emperor of Rome, not peacock and honey, but pork, fat, and vinegar water. Fats play a crucial role in human nutrition, providing essential fatty acids and aiding in the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. The Romans understood this intuitively, incorporating fats into their diet as a source of energy and flavor. Modern dietary guidelines have often demonized fats, but the Roman approach highlights the balance that can be achieved through moderation. The energy density of fats allowed soldiers to carry fewer physical calories while still meeting their energy needs, a concept that is very much relevant today. The fourth food was caseus, simply hard cheese, which served as the concentrated protein source for the legionaries. The daily ration appears in Roman military accounting at roughly 30 grams, just over an ounce, of aged sheep or goat cheese per soldier per day. This might sound small until you realize what aged hard cheese actually represents. A wheel of Roman-style pecorino cheese concentrates the protein and fat of 10 to 12 liters of sheep's milk into a single pound, removes most of the water, and then ages for months until the protein becomes dense, digestible, and stable without refrigeration. 30 grams of this cheese are roughly equivalent in protein to a cup of fresh milk and have 10 times the shelf life. Paired with the grain ration, cheese completed the amino acid profile that plant protein alone could not cover. A legionary consuming the full ration was getting approximately 100 to 120 grams of protein per day, a figure that would make a modern gym enthusiast nod in approval, all without a single protein powder, supplement, or factory-farmed animal. Cheese served as the quiet engine of muscle recovery. Without it, the grain diet would have been incomplete. With it, the soldier could undertake the same march the next day and the day after. Cheese also played a significant role in Roman culture. It wasn't just a source of nutrition, it was often consumed in social settings. Sharing cheese and bread became a communal activity, fostering bonds among soldiers and between soldiers and their leaders. The act of breaking bread and sharing cheese was a symbol of camaraderie that transcended ranks. The fifth food was oleum, olive oil, which served the dual roles of cooking fat and preservative. The Roman military machine transported an extraordinary quantity of olive oil across the empire, and archaeological evidence confirms this. Monte Testaccio, a hill in Rome over 120 feet, 36 meters, high, is entirely composed of broken amphorae, the ceramic shipping containers the Romans used to transport oil from Spain. Archaeologists like Jose Maria Blasquez estimate that the total oil that passed through this hill amounts to around 55 million amphorae over approximately 250 years, which translates to around 6 billion liters of olive oil. A fraction of this was directed to legion supply depots. Soldiers used olive oil to fry their porridge, soften hardtack, dress raw vegetables when foraged, treat wounds and condition leather, and preserve cheese and salted fish. The antioxidant profile of fresh olive oil, rich in polyphenols and monounsaturated fats, granted the Roman diet a protective quality that modern nutritionists are still busy rediscovering as the so-called Mediterranean diet. The legionary was consuming the Mediterranean diet long before the marketing term existed, doing so under pressure and on schedule for the remainder of his adult life. Olive oil was not just a dietary staple, it was also an economic powerhouse. The cultivation of olive trees and the production of oil created an entire industry that provided employment and sustenance for countless people across the empire. The trade routes established for olive oil facilitated cultural exchanges and strengthened political ties between regions. As a result, olive oil became a symbol of Roman wealth and sophistication, often used in rituals and as a gift among the elite. The sixth food was garum, which surprises modern audiences the most when they first hear about it. Garum was a fermented fish sauce produced across the Roman world by packing layers of small fish, fish guts, and sea salt into open vats and letting them sit in the sun for weeks until the enzymatic fermentation converted the entire mass into a thin, brown, intensely savory liquid. This liquid is functionally identical to modern Southeast Asian fish sauces, like Thai Nam Play or Vietnamese Nguoc Mam. The Romans used garum as their primary umami and salt flavoring in almost every meal. It was cheap, portable, shelf-stable for months, and packed with glutamic acid, which triggers the same satiety signals in the brain as consuming proteins. A few spoonfuls of garum could elevate bland grain porridge into a meal that a soldier would actually look forward to. It also provided sodium that was critical for a soldier sweating through long marches in a form that didn't feel heavy in his stomach. Excavations of garum factories in Spain, North Africa, and the Black Sea have revealed some of them to be industrial in scale, producing the sauce by thousands of gallons to supply the legions. This was not an oddity. It was the condiment of the empire. Garum was integral to Roman dining culture, underscoring the significance of flavor in their meals. The use of garum reflected the Romans' appreciation for seasoning and the enhancement of taste. It also became a symbol of social status. The quality and type of garum one used could indicate wealth and refinement. The trade of garum extended beyond the empire, influencing culinary practices in neighboring cultures and contributing to the spread of Roman cuisine. Now, let's discuss the three beverages that Roman soldiers consumed. They did not drink plain water while on campaign if they could avoid it, and the reason for this is perhaps the most practical aspect of this entire examination. The first and most important drink was puska, a mixture of water and cheap vinegar flavored with whatever herbs were available. The soldier carried a small clay flask of puska on his belt. Puska was slightly acidic, which killed most of the bacteria in the water it was mixed with, protecting the soldier from waterborne illnesses that had historically killed more soldiers in every war until the 20th century than combat ever did. The acidity also helped suppress thirst, allowing soldiers to stretch their water supply over long marches. The second drink was venom, ordinary diluted wine, usually mixed with water in a ratio of 1 part wine to 2 or 3 parts of water. The alcohol content was low enough to avoid intoxication, but high enough to provide additional antibacterial protection, and a small dose of phenolic compounds from the grape skins. The third drink was acidum, the strongest sour wine, nearly vinegar, reserved for cold weather or moments of exertion when soldiers needed a quick flavor boost. Together, these three drinks formed a comprehensive hydration system that killed pathogens, conserved water, and help maintain the mental stamina of men who might not see fresh water for days. When you put all 6 foods and 3 drinks together, you are not just looking at a list of items. You are observing an integrated field nutrition system that delivered roughly 3,500 calories of high-quality fuel per day in a package weighing less than 4 pounds, required no refrigeration, remained edible for weeks, and could be cooked over any fire with nothing more than a bronze pot and a bone spoon. In contrast, the modern MRE pouch system delivers around 1,250 calories per meal, weighs about 1.5 pounds, requires a flameless heating pack, comes wrapped in non-biodegradable plastic, and dumps around 11,000 milligrams of sodium into the soldier's bloodstream every day. Over a 30-day campaign, the modern system generates roughly 90 pounds of packaging waste per soldier. The Roman system generated an empty amphora and a clay pot that the soldier carried home with him. One of these systems successfully conquered the Mediterranean basin. The other struggles to keep its troops from developing metabolic syndrome while stationed at base. So what happened to this diet? Why are American and European soldiers not consuming some updated version of porridge and buccal today? The answer lies in the quiet transition that occurred during the 19th and early 20th centuries. The canning industry, and later the ultra-processed food industry, discovered that selling pre-cooked, shelf-stable meals to armies was one of the most lucrative contract categories in the entire defense budget. Real food made by the soldiers themselves over a fire generated no profit margin for any corporation. A plastic pouch filled with an ultra-processed meat product, however, did. The switch happened gradually. Nutritional science was crafted to justify this shift after the fact, and soldiers were told that the new system was advanced. It was not advanced. It was convenient for suppliers. The legions had thrived for 7 centuries on a diet of grain they cooked themselves. If you want to experiment with this diet at home, and you should, because the ingredients are almost all still sold at any decent grocery store, here's the short version. For the grain base, use whole wheat berries or coarse cracked wheat. Approximately 100 grams dry weight per meal, simmered in 3 times their volume of salted water for about 40 minutes until they break down into a porridge. Stir in a tablespoon of good olive oil, a slice of smoked bacon cut into small pieces, and half an ounce of aged hard cheese grated on top. For the drink, mix 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar into a full cup of cold water with a pinch of salt and a few crushed mint leaves. That's Puska, and it is genuinely refreshing once you get past the initial shock. For the portable version, on a hike or a long workday, make your own hardtack by combining 3 cups of whole wheat flour with 1 teaspoon of salt and enough water to form a stiff dough. Roll it out flat, cut it into 3-inch squares. Bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 177 degrees Celsius, for 30 minutes. Then reduce the temperature to 225 degrees Fahrenheit, 107 degrees Celsius, for another 2 hours to drive out moisture. The resulting biscuit will keep for a month in a dry tin. Eat one soaked in puska or broth, and you are having lunch just like a legionary on the way to Britannia. One final note. The Roman diet worked for men doing around 5,000 to 6,000 calories of physical labor a day. If you are sitting at a desk and you eat 2 pounds of wheat porridge topped with bacon and hard cheese, you will gain weight quickly. Scale the portions down to your actual activity level. The principle to take from the Legion is not the exact quantity, but the quality. Slow grains, aged proteins, natural fats, fermented salt, and vinegar water. That combination powered the Roman military machine across 3 continents. It can also support you through a hard day of work on a farm or job site, without a single ultra-processed ingredient, and without a single cent of your money going to a food corporation. Eat as the men who built the aqueducts did, and you may be surprised at how it makes you feel by the end of the first week. If this is the kind of real historical nutrition you want more of, hit that like button, so the algorithm keeps pushing this to the next person stuck eating cardboard from a pouch. Leave a comment about whether you plan to try Puska tomorrow morning. Honestly, it is the best place to start. The story of the Roman soldiers' diet is not just a lesson in what they ate. It reflects a lifestyle and a system of survival. Through their diet, they not only fueled their bodies but also built a civilization that would last for centuries. The way they ate, the ingredients they used, and the techniques they maintained are lessons that can be applied in our modern lives. So, if you want to learn more about other traditional dietary methods that help shape the civilizations we still live in today, don't hesitate to keep exploring. The history of food is the history of humanity itself, and every choice we make has the power to influence our future. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the story of Roman food and its enduring legacy. As we reflect on the diet of the Roman soldiers, we can draw parallels to our modern lifestyles. Many people today struggle with dietary issues, including gluten intolerance, digestive problems, and obesity, often related to the consumption of highly processed foods. The Roman diet, with its emphasis on whole, natural ingredients, offers a compelling alternative. By returning to the principles of ancient nutrition, we can potentially improve our health outcomes. Whole foods such as grains, legumes, and fresh vegetables are essential for maintaining a balanced diet. Unlike processed foods, these items retain their nutrient content and provide the body with the energy it needs to function effectively. The Roman diet exemplified this principle, relying on minimally processed ingredients that were not only nutritious but also readily available. Focus on whole grains. Choose whole grains over refined options. Incorporate foods like quinoa, barley, and brown rice into your meals. These grains are rich in fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Experiment with legumes. Include legumes such as lentils, chickpeas, and beans in your diet. They are excellent sources of protein and can be used in various dishes, from soups to salads. Embrace healthy fats. Incorporate healthy fats into your meals. Use olive oil for cooking or as a dressing for salads. Avocados and nuts are also great sources of healthy fats and can enhance the nutritional profile of your meals. Prioritize fermentation. Consider incorporating fermented foods into your diet. Foods like yogurt, kefir, and sauerkraut provide beneficial probiotics that support gut health. Reduce processed foods. Aim to minimize the consumption of processed foods. Read labels carefully and choose products with fewer ingredients that you can recognize. Stay hydrated with natural beverages. Instead of sugary drinks, opt for water infused with fruits or herbs. Herbal teas and naturally flavored waters can also be refreshing alternatives. The cultural significance of food. Food is not just sustenance. It is an integral part of our culture and identity. The way we prepare and consume food reflects our values, traditions, and history. The Roman diet is a testament to how food can unite people and foster a sense of community. Sharing meals, whether in a military camp or at home, strengthens bonds and builds relationships. As we move forward, it is crucial to revisit the wisdom of our ancestors. The lessons learned from the Roman diet can inform our choices today. By prioritizing whole, unprocessed foods, we can cultivate a healthier society and promote well-being for future generations. In conclusion, the story of Roman soldiers' nutrition not only highlights the ingenuity of ancient practices, but also serves as a reminder of the importance of mindful eating. By embracing the principles that sustained the Roman legions, we can enhance our health, honor our cultural heritage, and pave the way for a sustainable food future. If you found this exploration of Roman nutrition enlightening, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you tried incorporating any of these ancient principles into your diet? What challenges have you faced in pursuing a more natural way of eating? Let's engage in a discussion about how we can collectively return to healthier eating habits, drawing inspiration from the past.